In the United States, the price of gasoline is more than just a number on a sign. One week, a fill-up totals $55, the next, it's $65. Same car, same station. The number on the sign keeps moving, and frustration builds. Why do gas prices in America swing so wildly?
We pay different prices in different states in the United States because of different state taxes. So, for example, in California or in New York State, the taxes are higher, so the price per gallon is higher.
This film unpacks the mechanics behind the pump: crude oil costs, seasonal fuel rules, refinery bottlenecks, and global shocks. It also widens the lens, comparing the US to countries where higher fuel taxes and different market structures often blunt volatility, even if prices are higher overall. The goal is simple: cut through noise, trace the real drivers, and explain who actually shapes the price of gasoline. So we start with the basics.
So why is gas so expensive anyway? It has mostly to do with crude oil prices. We found the Department of Energy charts this out every single day, and you can see the higher the price of crude oil per barrel, the higher the price of gas.
The price at the pump largely mirrors the price of crude oil. According to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, crude typically makes up about 50 to 60% of what drivers pay, with the rest split among refining, distribution and marketing, and taxes. When crude spikes, retail prices follow. In July 2008, Brent crude topped roughly $147 a barrel. In March 2022, after Russia's invasion of Ukraine, it briefly surged above $120.
Well, the standoff between Russia and Ukraine having major impact on gas prices across the country.
We'll talk about that standoff more in just a moment, but how is something all the way across the globe causing so much pain here at home?
Each shock moved U.S. gasoline within days. Seasonality adds another layer. Demand rises in late spring and summer as Americans drive more. At the same time, refineries must switch to more expensive summer gasoline formulations with lower vapor pressure to reduce smog. That combination, higher demand and higher cost blends, pushes prices up, only to ease in the fall when demand softens and winter-grade fuel returns. Geopolitics and coordinated supply moves can amplify swings. OPEC plus production cuts, sanctions, and conflicts tighten global supply, even if U.S. production is high, because oil is priced on global benchmarks like Brent and WTI. Finally, infrastructure matters. Unplanned refinery outages or storms can lift local prices sharply. Hurricane Harvey in 2017 temporarily knocked out over 20% of U.S. refining capacity, and the 2021 Colonial Pipeline cyber attack disrupted East Coast deliveries, both translating quickly into higher regional prices.
That's right. Good morning. Yesterday gas was around $2.09 where we were in Spartanburg and Greenville. And now this morning it's $2.25. Right across the street, it's $2.29. And according to AAA, that's already 24 cents higher than last week.
But even when pipelines and refineries run smoothly, prices still move. That's because the U.S. buys and sells fuel inside a largely private, globally connected market where benchmarks, not regulators, set the tone. Since Congress lifted the 40-year ban on most crude exports in December 2015, U.S. oil has flowed to world buyers. According to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, crude exports averaged about 4 million barrels per day in 2023, tying domestic prices more tightly to global swings. U.S. gasoline also tends to follow Brent, the international benchmark, because refined products and crude are traded worldwide. In this system, private companies optimize for profit. After the 2020 crash, many publicly traded producers prioritized shareholder payouts over aggressive drilling, an emphasis documented in the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas Energy Survey, slowing supply growth even as demand recovered. Refiners likewise adjust runs based on margins. When crack spreads widen, output rises, and when margins compress, they pull back. Political efforts to control prices struggle against these market mechanics. Strategic petroleum reserve releases can add temporary supply. Gas tax holidays shave only the tax portion. Proposals to cap prices or restrict exports face legal, economic, and diplomatic hurdles, and strong industry opposition. The result is exposure. American drivers feel global shocks quickly, and relief depends on market incentives, not government edict. That exposure shows up unevenly at home. nowhere more than California. According to AAA, California pump prices often run more than $1 per gallon above the US average. The reasons stack up. First, California requires a unique CARB gasoline blend. It cuts pollution, but it's a boutique fuel, meaning fewer suppliers, longer lead times, and pricier imports when local supply is tight. Second, the West Coast is relatively isolated from other U.S. fuel hubs. With limited pipelines from the Gulf Coast, outages at in-state refineries can ripple quickly. Capacity has also shrunk. Two Bay Area plants, Marathon's Martinez and Phillips 66's Rodeo, were converted to renewable fuels, removing significant petroleum refining capacity and raising vulnerability to shocks, per the EIA and company filings. Policy adds costs too. California's state gasoline excise tax is 59.6 cents per gallon as of July 2025 on top of sales taxes and climate programs like cap and trade and the low carbon fuel standard, which add tens of cents per gallon. The California Energy Commission has also documented a persistent mystery gasoline surcharge since 2015, an extra 20 to 40 cents that widens during disruptions. The result is a structurally higher and more fragile regional price. California's premium sits atop a world price. U.S. gasoline ultimately rides global crude benchmarks, especially Brent, because refineries and traders price to international alternatives. According to the US EIA, crude oil accounted for roughly 56% of the pump price in 2023. So when Brent jumps, pumps follow. After Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022, Brent briefly exceeded $120 a barrel.
We're seeing the biggest impact right now on gas prices, and everyone's kind of focused on that, but there will be more impacts moving down the road as well.
OPEC plus voluntary cuts by Saudi Arabia and Russia in 2023 to 2024 kept supplies tight. Even as the U.S. hit record oil output in 2023 to 2024, prices still moved with these shocks, evidence that drill more to lower prices has limits in a global market. Since Congress lifted the crude export ban in 2015, U.S. barrels can flow to the highest bidder, binding American drivers to worldwide supply, freight, and risk. With U.S. prices bound to global markets, policy answers split in two: shock absorbers now, and an exit ramp over time. Short term, governments can use strategic stock releases. Treasury estimated the 2022 SPR action shaved roughly 17 to 42 cents per gallon and tighten oversight of refinery outages, inventories, and pricing to curb manipulation. Temporary windfall profit levies, like the UK's 2022 Energy Profits Levy and the EU's Solidarity Contribution, can be tied to credits for reinvesting in supply resilience and clean energy. Long-term, the IEA notes that expanding EVs' efficiency standards and clean power reduces oil demand and exposure to price spikes. Investments in charging, grids, and transit make costs more predictable. The pattern is clear. Lasting price stability comes less from drilling more and more from needing less oil. How fast can that shift happen?